All right, in this video, we're going to talk about settings. So on the Mac version of Photoshop, you're going to find settings in the top left corner. I'm going to click on Photoshop, go to settings, and click on general. And we're going to talk about all of these options briefly. Okay, so let's kind of go over what the preferences are, even though I don't know why they call it settings and then here it's called preferences. So settings, preferences, however you want to word it. You have a bunch of options here to get Photoshop kind of set up the way you want it, and it's not bad. So we have general. So it allows you to select what kind of color picker you want to use, the HUD color picker, image interpolation, so biocubic automatic, so method used when scaling or resizing images. You want to leave all this stuff as default as much as you can, okay? It's set up for you to be successful just the way it is. Then we have interface, so we can adjust the color scheme. So I can go brighter. Whoa, look at that. I can just about blind myself with the pure white here, but I'm going to go even darker than what we have. Because what I find, and this is one of the reasons why they change a lot of the interfaces to darker colors, is because it's easier on the eyes. Okay, so I like darker colors when I'm looking at a screen for 8 hours. It's a lot easier to work with if you have a darker interface. It just is. So I recommend the darkest color, but you can pick whatever one you want. Okay. Everything else in here I would leave as default. Then we have workspace. Okay. Auto collapse iconic panels. We're not going to do that. Enable narrow options bar. And if you enable this, which it's condensed, so if you have one monitor, I don't think you really need it, because even on one monitor, like what I'm using right now, it's not that bad. Like it's workable. You can work with one monitor. I recommend multiple monitors, but if you only have one, you can make it work. Okay, so it's not like it's impossible to do. So that's just my 2 cents about it. Like I said, workspace is very important to me, because if you have a good workspace, you can get a lot more done and be a lot more efficient. So it's very important. It's about 25% of the process to get things rolling. Then we have tools. We'll leave everything as default, but you can change any of these that you want. History and content credentials, so none and none, so we're not going to do anything with that. You can learn about it here if you want to. Click on that and learn more about it. File handling, okay? Image previews, always save. File extension, use lowercase. Default file location on your computer. Okay, so you can set it to your computer or Creative Cloud. You can also adjust this to uppercase if you want, or lowercase. I like lowercase because it differentiates the project from the file extension, so it's kind of easier to read it and understand what the extension is, like what kind of document it is. Oh, it's a PSD. Okay, that makes sense. But you can change it to whatever you want, you know. Export, so by default, the quick export is PNG. You can change this to JPEG or GIF, depending on what projects you're working on and what formats you need. Set it to your liking and to your needs. Performance, right now I have 16 gigs of RAM on my computer, and I have 9 gigs of RAM committed to Photoshop, okay? So what I recommend doing, if you have 16 gigs of RAM, at least give it half of your RAM, because it's going to make your experience a lot better, okay? Now, if you have 32 gigs of RAM, give it 16. Why? Because then it will be even faster. Everything will work faster. You'll be able to work more efficiently and get more done in less time, okay? Image processing, so select subject processing, selections processing, and remove tool processing. Scratch disk, Okay, so you can also change your scratch disk by holding Command Option when launching Photoshop. So, tell you a funny story about the scratch disk. At one point, I had my hard drive on my computer here is about 250 gigs, and I had 250 gigs of files. I opened up Photoshop and it kept crashing. I'm like, why would that be? Oh, it's the scratch disk. Okay. So file management is extremely important when you're working with any type of project. Doesn't matter what it is. If you're building a website, if you're doing video editing, if you're doing graphic design, whatever it is, project management, file management is extremely important. So managing your files, managing your scratch disk, managing the space on your hard drive is extremely important. And when you have a smaller hard drive, like in this example, you have to be very efficient with how you manage your files, which is where Creative Cloud comes in. If you manage all your stuff on Creative Cloud, it eliminates the management of those files locally on your computer anyway, which is another reason to go to the cloud. Okay. I'm very old school. I like to put stuff on hard drives and keep them offline and not have them on the internet. But I've gotten to the point where the volume that I do, it's better to be on the cloud. And if you're a serious business person like I am, you're going to want to be on the cloud as well, because it's just going to be easier to manage. You don't need the headache. Trust me. It's not worth it. So that's my rant on scratch disks, but I love scratch disks, and I could talk about them all day. Cursors. So we have standard, precise, normal brush tip. This is for painting. And then other cursors. So we have standard or precise, and then brush preview. Okay. Transparency and gamut. So when we have a transparent background, this is what they're using. Okay. And the gamut is the other color in there. So you have white and a light gray. Units and rulers. So we have, for rulers, we have pixels, type, width. So this is for columns or the grid. 12 gutters, and the width is 180 points. Guides, grid, and slices. So these are the different colors for each one of those. Plugins, we don't have anything enabled right now, but you're allow extensions to connect to the internet. Load extension panels, okay? So we have both of those. If we wanted to do all that, it shows my IP address here, but yeah. Type, so we have use smart quotes, enable missing glyph protection, show font names in English, use escape key to commit text, fill new type layers with placeholder text. 3D, again, this is more if you're doing a lot of 3D work in Photoshop, which I'm not currently doing. I'm doing a lot of 2D, but 3D is part of this space for sure, and this is where you can do that. Again, when I think of 3D, I think of Maya, 3D Studio Max, and other programs out there that are designed for 3D. I'm not saying that you can't do it in Photoshop. I'm just saying there's more robust tools out there that will give you kind of more options to really make some cool stuff in 3D. I really enjoy 3D, but I don't think of Photoshop as a 3D application, even though they're trying to push that. Enhanced controls, show touch bar property adjustments, okay, technology previews, and product improvements. So if you want to participate, you can give Adobe permission to use your images and associated data to train Adobe's generative AI models. Okay. If you want to participate, go ahead. I'm not going to participate. I think they have enough data. So, but that's up to you. Okay. So that's preferences, settings, however you want to word it. I think I'm calling this video settings. So that's settings. All right. So thanks for watching. Take care, and I'll see you in the next video.